What is up, everyone? Hollow Jedi here. I've got many hours into Death Stranding 2, so it's time for me to share my thoughts. For a little backstory on the series, I platinumed the first Death Stranding twice. Once on PS4, then again on PS5, and that run was so intense that I actually pulled a muscle in my thumb that needed surgery. Yes, that actually happened. And believe it or not, it kinda makes sense once you understand the game's mechanics, but we'll get to that soon enough. First thing I noticed right away was that cutscenes are shorter and more to the point. For a game known for its lengthy cinematics, the first Death Stranding had one of the longest ending cutscenes in gaming history, so that change is a very welcome surprise. It keeps the pacing tight without compromising emotional impact. Let's talk quality of life upgrades. Sam feels noticeably more stable. It's harder to topple him over even with heavier cargo. Vehicle and exoskeleton batteries seem to last forever. Boots, practically indestructible, and cargo, much more resilient to timefall degradation. These tweaks may sound minor, but they collectively smooth out the gameplay loop in a way that's hard to overstate. In the first Death Stranding, traversal was quirky, to put it kindly. Vehicle handling often felt counterintuitive, and systems that should have worked just didn't. If I had reviewed that game instead, my biggest gripe would have been its brutal vehicle mechanics. So brutal, in fact, that I ended up needing trigger finger release surgery after chasing my second platinum. But Death Stranding 2 flips the script. Vehicles handle far better this time around. Climbing steep terrain feels effortless, and later in the game, traversal becomes so refined that getting from point A to the top of a mountain feels absolutely seamless. It's one of the biggest improvements for me, hands down. As for the story, it's a 10 for me. There are twists, turns, emotional highs and lows, the kind of narrative that just grips you from start to finish. You're constantly driven to uncover what's next, and the performances make that journey absolutely unforgettable. You feel what Sam Porter Bridges feels. And that pride in being Sam, it pushes you deeper into the game world, to build more roads, to build more zip lines, to make more deliveries. You build, you connect, you commit. Let's talk music. The Death Stranding 2 OST is nothing short of stunning, emotionally rich, immersive, and timed perfectly with the environment you're in. It elevates each moment. One of the most impressive touches was at the beginning of the game. The soundtrack actually shifts depending on your movement. Same song, different sections, dynamically matched to your speed and direction. It's subtle, but it makes every journey feel more cinematic. Combat, meanwhile, stays close to the original's DNA with just a bit more bite. You're still not forced into frequent fights, and stealth remains a viable path for most of the game, which I personally appreciate. But when there is combat that is unavoidable, there's an interesting mechanic. If you lose, you can choose to pretend that you've won. It's a quirky option, but it fits the offbeat spirit of the game. The overall challenge has been dialed up slightly without breaking what made the original's approach so unique. Normal difficulty felt just right. It struck that perfect balance, challenging enough to keep you engaged but never frustrating. With every delivery, every climb, every encounter, it left me with a real sense of accomplishment. I haven't tested the other difficulty modes yet, so I can't speak to those, but for most players, normal should hit that sweet spot. In closing, I'm giving Death Stranding 2 a solid 10 out of 10. From gameplay and combat to story, art direction, and soundtrack. This game delivers on every front. It's not just a sequel, it's an emotional experience that resonates in ways few modern titles do. I recommend it wholeheartedly. Honestly, both Death Stranding games are worth playing just for the story alone, but there's so much more that makes this world unforgettable, and you've just got to see it for yourself. Before I go, I'll leave you with one question. Will Death Stranding 2 take Game of the Year, or will it be edged out by Clair Obscur Expedition 33? It's a very close race. Death Stranding 2 is a refined masterpiece, but Clair Obscur brings bold innovation and a fresh artistic vision that's turning heads. Critics are split, and the betting odds currently favor Clair Obscur, but with Kojima's legacy and fanbase, DS2 still has a very strong shot. Once again, I'm Hollow Jedi. Thanks for checking out my review. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you very, very soon.